Good morning from a very beautiful country here in Southeast Asia. And the topic of today's video is the dangers of dating in Southeast Asia. Yeah. And one of the dangers is seriously that you get lost, you go to the dogs, you ruin your health and your finances. Yeah. This is the story I want to share with you today. This is what kind of happened to me, and I will go over this in this video. But my message is, come prepared. Yeah, come prepared when you travel to Southeast Asia and you want to date. It doesn't matter if you travel to the Philippines, to Indonesia, to Malaysia, to Hong Kong, to Singapore, or to Thailand for that matter. Southeast Asia is a big region, but has a lot of similarities. It's similar to Europe, you know, Germany, France, Italy, yeah, there are differences. They have different languages, for example, but they share a common, they share common roots in terms of history and culture. And so it is in Southeast Asia. What do I mean with come prepared when you travel to Southeast Asia to date women? First of all, you should know yourself. I know this is a vast and big topic and I cannot go in too much detail here, but what I mean by knowing yourself is that you should know about your needs. I've covered this in my previous video, why men date bar girls, and I strongly recommend and suggest that you check out this video. It goes into the more nitty-gritty psychological dynamics at play, why certain men, a certain category of men, is dating, preferring a certain category of women. So you should ideally be aware of your psychological needs, yeah? Your weaknesses, for example, also, because that will, as I will cover later, and I covered in previous videos already, that will be a very important aspect, how your whole dating experience will unfold and evolve eventually in these Southeast Asian countries. Also, the second thing you should you should know, which also falls under the category of being prepared to come to Southeast Asia when dating, is what do you want? Yeah, do you just want some fun, or are you looking for a serious long-term relationship, a committed relationship, an exclusive relationship which eventually leads to marriage? Yeah, and point number 3 I want to make is do your research. Yeah, this is very important, especially if you are a newcomer, a newbie to Southeast Asia. If you primarily come to date, do your research. There is great research available these days, and my videos also serve that purpose, right? Some of you guys, and I hope a lot of people actually will watch these videos, they will do their research accordingly. When I came to Southeast Asia the first time in 2006, there was no YouTube basically. There were no YouTube videos available covering this topic, let alone any blog posts. For sure there were some bloggers already posting something, but not in that kind of not to that kind of extent which is available today. There are great resources available today. There are plenty of bloggers and YouTubers who are sharing their experiences online through videos and blogging and other stuff and podcasts about dating in Asia, so you can really prepare yourself properly. There is no shortage of resources. Because I didn't have these researches available at the time, and also because I didn't know much about myself, and I also didn't know what I want. I had really to learn it the hard way. I had to learn my lessons the very, very brutal and hard way. What I also didn't know, and which should be part of your research, is you need to understand and you need to learn about the differences between dating in Western countries versus dating in Asia, or let's say dating in Southeast Asian countries. There's a fundamental difference, and I will probably do another video just solely covering that topic, because there's much to say about that. But long story short, I was not aware of the differences. I thought everything is the same, and it's not the same. But just to give you a few hints, of course, when I came to Asia, I was 28 at the time, so a young man, not married, no kids, nothing, single. Of course, I've dated before in Europe or in Western countries, in Switzerland, in the United States. You know, I'm a Western guy. I come from Germany. I grew up in the Western cultures, adopted to the Western style of dating, how to approach women or how not to approach women, and that kind of stuff. And then I came to Asia, and the dating scene also is completely different over there, at least what I have experienced in Hong Kong. And dating in Western countries is like, yeah, you go during my time, and I still think it's applicable today. We went to clubs, we went to bars in Europe, we went to discos, you know. This is the place where you met girls usually, you hooked up with them, you know, and that kind of stuff. Prostitution is available, of course, in Western countries, but it is working completely differently. And you have special places to go to, for example, like brothels or certain districts of town or stuff like that. When you go to any disco or club in Germany, for example, during that time, there were no prostitutes inside. There are red light districts, for example, in Germany, and you have some go-go bars and table dance bars and stuff like that, striptease clubs. But the concept of, let's say, bar girls or the bar scene like it is so prevalent in Southeast Asia does not exist in Western countries. And this is also one thing you need to research and you need to be aware of when you come to Southeast Asia. So, in 2006, I came to Hong Kong, to Southeast Asia. I took up a job. I was very happy to finally end up in China. China was my big dream to travel to work and to gain experience. And of course, as I mentioned, I was a single guy. I was a party animal also. You know, I like to dance a lot and go to clubs and stuff like that. And of course, I like to date women since I was single. There's no problem about that. So I'm pretty much 2 months after my arrival in Hong Kong, I started to explore the city a little bit and the entertainment districts. And I went through the district called Wan Chai. The Wan Chai is the so-called red light district, but it's not really a red light district. It's, I think the name is wrong. It is a nightlife district, but only just a few streets actually, and people who know Hong Kong know what I'm talking about. It has nothing to do with that kind of red light district stuff in Europe or America for that matter, yeah. And so I explored, you know, and yeah, I told you the story already how I met my first bar girl, and that was my, that is in Hong Kong was the place where I really hooked up with my first ever bar girl. She was from the Philippines. Her name was Hazel. I still remember. And this is how I got introduced to this bar scene thing and this whole dating dynamics there in Hong Kong. And by the way, the bar scene and the bar girl scene in Hong Kong is very similar to the one in the Philippines or the one in Thailand, for example. Yeah? There are a lot of bars where freelance girls hang around inside, trying to hook up with mostly Western people, and having drinks with them, you know, getting paid by commissions, and then eventually also going home with these men and getting paid for sex, you know. That's the business concept. So most of when I say bar girls in Hong Kong, they were actually freelancers from the Philippines. You also have some Indonesian women, but they work in Hong Kong as maids, for example, and they try to make some money on the side on the weekends. So, but most of the freelancers I encountered were from the Philippines. They came to Hong Kong on a 2-week visa solely for the purpose to make money. So yeah, so this is how I got kind of sucked into this whole bar scene over there, and I was not familiar with the concept at all. I had no experience with it, and I mentioned in my previous videos already how tempting and alluring it was, you know, because suddenly you enter a bar, you enter a club in Wan Chai, Hong Kong, and you get approached by girls, constantly. How are you? What's your name? Blah blah blah. Pretty young ladies, you know, and so I figured out pretty quickly that dating is pretty easy in Hong Kong. The girls are interested in me, you know. They gave me compliments, you know. They made me feel, how to say? But at the end of the day, I was buying validation and approval. I was talking about it in my previous video. So it was very tempting and alluring, and I began to feel like a very important person, almost like a rock star, you know. And I ended up hanging out in Wan Chai almost every night, dating different girls, dating a lot of girls, of course having a lot of fun. It was not sex, drugs and rock and roll, but it was surely sex, alcohol and EDM, electronic dance music. And yeah, I enjoyed it at the time because it was so easy to get and hook up with girls, you know. It was a lot of fun. It was I was literally the kid in the candy store. But the problem was, because of my immaturity, I was not able to handle it at all. It was a lot of fun, you know. It was really fun to have 3, 4, 5 girlfriends at the same time and to kind of juggling them around, you know. Sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. But I did not recognize that I was probably also already addicted to this whole bar scene thing, you know. And that was due to the reason because I didn't do any research prior to that. You know, I completely also misjudged the entire situation. I had no proper discernment at the time. I mean, this is part of the learning curve. I guess many expats who come to Southeast Asia, they will go through the same learning curve process, which is okay and which is normal. But for me, I just was dating basically bar girls, and I enjoyed it. You know, I also dated some regular working girls, you know, Filipinas or Indonesian women who worked in Hong Kong mostly as domestic helpers, as maids, you know. So they had a full-time job and they were very hardworking, very nice ladies. So there was no shortage on women. But pretty much, let's say after 6 months, I started to get in financial trouble already because I was just blowing my money out of the window. And I had a good salary, you know. I worked for a big catering organization in Hong Kong. They paid good money. They even paid for my apartment. And people who know Hong Kong, they know that Hong Kong is a very expensive place to live. Especially the rents are extreme. So I had a good salary, I had a lot of money, and I spent it all in one shy, and I even went into credit card debt, you know, just to finance my entertainment and my nightlife, you know, spending money on the girls, on the drinks, and anything and other stuff, you know. So this is what I was mentioning in the beginning of my video. The danger is that you really can go to the dogs. And I was on the best way because I took my job not seriously anymore. I called sick, for example, more often. And in the beginning it was no big deal, you know, because you can become sick from time to time. But I wasn't really sick, you know. I just didn't want to work. I was like really hooked with this nightlife thing there, and I just wanted to party and hang out, you know. And so I got into credit card debt, you know, and yeah, I messed up with my job. So at the end of 2 years in Hong Kong, I ended up with a final warning letter from my employer because they found out something, you know, like the monkey business I did, you know, I didn't show up at work. I manipulated the punch-in clock, you know, we had to punch in and punch out before shift starts and shift ended. So I manipulated that, and they found out. So I got a final warning letter from my employer in Hong Kong, and that was the first time it ever happened to me. But also my finances were really messed up. I remember I had to pay taxes then. After 2 years before I left Hong Kong, I had to pay taxes. I received my tax bill from the IRS in Hong Kong, and I had to pay thousands of dollars in tax, and I barely could come up with the money. It was just crazy, you know. I was really a messed up guy. Also, my health started to deteriorate already because I was consuming alcohol on a daily basis, you know. I attribute this to the fact, what I said earlier, I didn't know myself, I didn't know what I want, and I didn't do any research. I don't blame it that there was no research available, but yeah, I didn't do any research. After 2 years, I was a little bit smarter, but it took me many, many more years to really wake up. So that was my short story. This is how it all began in Hong Kong. Yeah. Now, when I look back 17 years later, of course, I can claim, I'm happy to report that I learned a great deal about it, you know. And but what can you learn? Yeah, what's the moral of the story? Yeah, again, it comes back to what I said earlier. Look inside yourself. Know yourself. What are your needs? What do you really need? If you are a guy who needs a lot of attention and approval and validation, if you are a needy person, you have to be very, very careful. Yeah? Because if you belong to this certain category of men, then I can tell you there is a certain category of women in Southeast Asia who will cater to your needs, you know. I'm talking about the bar girls. They will happily validate you, they will happily approve of you, they happily will give you the attention you're craving for, but you have to pay for it, and you will probably even completely delude yourself in thinking and believing that, I don't know, these girls are serious about you. No, they are just serious about the money, but this is a different topic. Yeah, I've covered in other videos. But also, do your research. It's very important. You can learn so much today from other guys and girls on YouTube. There are even, for example, many Filipinos who are running YouTube channels today who share great advice about, for example, how Filipino women tick, how they operate, how their mind is working, and they're sharing a lot of good advice. So you can get already a lot of theoretical knowledge, but at the end of the day, you have to put your boots on the ground eventually and yeah, practice and learn your lessons, sometimes also the hard way. And there's no expert I know who has not burned his fingers. For sure you will burn your fingers, but that's part of the learning curve. And lastly, I want to say that when you come to Southeast Asia and your goal is dating women, one of the goals, or maybe the major goal, then among others, among other motivations or among other reasons, you have to allow yourself time to adjust. Yeah? Because when I watch sometimes videos from other YouTubers, and I especially read the comments, you know, there are some comments which in my opinion are not appropriate, because these are the kind of people who belong to the category, oh, I know it all, you know, how stupid was that guy to behave like that? It would never happen to me. You know, these all-knowers, they know it better, they never make any mistakes. But you have to think, you're coming from a different cultural background when you are a Western guy. And this is what you are not, if you are not aware of, then you can end up in big trouble, relationship-wise, health-wise, financially. How many expats are there who messed up, who went broke, you know, and even worse? Yeah? There are many as we speak in Thailand and the Philippines, for example. How could that happen? I don't think these gentlemen wanted to end up broke or unhealthy or even commit suicide or get scammed or whatever by women. I don't think so. And there are these all-knowers who claim and say, oh, you know, yeah, you should have known that, and they will lecture you what to do and what not to do, and they know everything about the woman and how they take and operate. That's all bullshit, you know. It doesn't matter you do your research as I suggest or not. You have to allow yourself some time to adjust, and you need that time to adjust. Yeah, and it will take at least a few months. You need to get adopted to the weather. You need to get adopted to the climate. You need to get adopted to the local culture, to the people, to everything. You need to figure out how stuff works in these countries, you know, and how stuff is not working. Stuff is working differently than in your country. It's not so organized like in Germany, for example, you know. People are not so punctual like in Germany. You know, there are so many things I could name now, but it's actually just common sense. If you travel half around the world, 10,000 kilometers away from your home country, you need to expect that things are running a little bit differently, and so it is also with dating. Yeah, there are different economic situations in these countries. You know, there's a lot of poverty. Most of these countries are still considered either third world or developing countries. So the economic situation is a big driver. What is running these people, especially the women. And you as a white guy, let's say, yeah, or as a Westerner, you are considered a walking ATM machine, more or less. Yeah, I will cover this in a future video, and the topic will probably be: are Southeast Asian women opportunistic? I mean, we are all opportunistic to some extent, but the economic situation in these countries is a huge driver. You should not make any mistake about, and should not delude yourself about, okay? And thinking these girls, a woman, like you so much because of your personality. A certain category of women, they are just after your money. But I'm not saying that all Southeast Asian women belong to that category. As again, this is what I had to learn. I just hang out with the bar girls, so I assume all, let's say, I hang out with a lot of Filipina bar girls in Hong Kong or in the Philippines. And of course I experienced bad situations with them, also good, but also bad situation. But you know, I then thought, this is how our mind works, you know, I assumed all Filipinas are bad, you know, all Filipinas are scammers, all Filipinas are dishonest, and all Filipinas are prostitutes. You know, this is how stupid I was thinking, but this is how your mind kind of works, you know. I didn't know, I could not figure out, I couldn't see that actually I was just dating a small category of women at the time. It's a minority actually. The majority of women, also in Thailand or in Cambodia or in Laos or in Vietnam, there are normal women, if you want to call them that, good women who have a job, who have a family, whose motivation is to earn money, to take care of their family, to start their own family, to live a good life. That's the motivation. At the end of the day, everybody wants to live a good life, even the bar girls. They're doing this to make money, to support themselves and their family, right? But it's just, you have to learn to discern. You have to develop and fine-tune your ability to discern and to judge properly. And this is what I'm still learning today. Yeah, learning to discern better than before and to judge properly and to make much better decisions. It's all about decision making, and I made a lot of bad decisions at the time. That is because of my immaturity. I didn't know myself, I didn't know what I want, I didn't do the research. So this is my advice: do your research, know yourself, know what you want, and yeah, and learn from other expats. So, and allow yourself some time. You will need time to adjust. It's not a crime. How can you know when you come there the first time to the Philippines or to Thailand how everything works? You don't know, you will never know, but you can prepare yourself a little bit, and the rest is just practical training, and keep your eyes open, and then you will make progress. So, with that being said, I'm checking out for today. I'm looking forward to your thoughts, to your comments. Have you experienced a similar situation? Were you on the way to the dogs already like me? Yeah, I'm interested to hear about it, and always looking forward to your advice. Also, you know, thanks for your comments for the previous videos. I read them all. Many of them are very valuable. And looking forward to the next video next week. I'm checking out from a very beautiful place here in Southeast Asia. Take care. Bye bye.